Hey everybody, this is Ben, and I am making a new blog video. Um, Shal and I have been talking about some ideas of what I should talk about, and she thinks I should touch upon what happened to me during junior high. Um, to begin, I'm just going to come out and say it. I'm not ashamed to say I was in special ed. I think a lot of people have this idea that if you're in special ed, you're retarded and you're stupid, and that's not true. A lot of people have learning disabilities and stuff wrong with them. My testimony really begins when I was really little, uh, because of because of the problems I had, I guess, when I was born, or I don't know what. I always had speech problems. The only ones that could really understand me was my mom, my sister, and my grandma. They really could understand me really good. I had to go to speech. One of my first memories is being a little 2 or 3 year old. My mom taking me to Children's Medical Center and going to a speech therapist. Um, when I was really little, I was put in preschool, or what they called baby birds. And because of my speech, I was held back. Um, in third grade, I was put in LD. I would be in my class for a couple of subjects, and then a couple of subjects go to LD. Um, I remember this one of the teacher's assistants was so determined. I cannot write. I always have had a problem with writing, and it's just something I'm gonna have a problem with the rest of my life. That's why I use computer. And um, the teacher's aide made me sit there all the time after class and write these little things, my name and all these other things. It was so determined. I'm gonna make you write good, and never happened. Uh, in fourth grade, it was just like third grade, special ed, or LD. And then in fifth grade, I had to take a test, and the test determined where I was. And I tested high on a lot of good areas, but I tested low in a lot of areas. So the school system told my mom it would be best if I was in special ed all day. I remember this day because I believe there are certain moments in our lives that define who we are. Not so much of, how do I say it? Part of our destiny, part of who we are, or help us become who we are. For me, that was one of my moments. Um, I walked. I remember the way the classrooms were, where there was downstairs, and then you go up some steps, two flights of steps, and then there was the upstairs, and then there was a little bit more steps, and then there was some more classrooms. My classroom was up there. My fifth grade classroom. I used to have a a therapist come out and help me with motor skill problems, like throwing basketball, doing stuff with Play-Doh, um, throwing baseballs, stuff like that to help with my motor skills. Um, but anyways, I was in my classroom when my LD teacher came in and told me she needed to see me, and she asked me to come bring my backpack with me. So I did. I was in my where I sat was in the very back of the classroom, so I was right next to the door. Well, as I was walking down the steps, I will never forget this, because it plays like a movie in my head a lot when I think about it. Everything was going in slow motion as she was talking to me. We finally got downstairs to the bottom floor. we passed some classrooms, and I looked in, and I noticed the kids were staring at me as I was walking by. And so we walked up to this classroom, and we knocked on the door. And this lady opens, and she tells me to go on in. And my LD teacher told me, this is where you're going to be from now on. You're going to be in this classroom. I went from about 25, 30 students to, my LD class had like maybe 10, to about, there being about eight or seven kids being in the classroom I was at. One of them is one of my best friends. We grew up together. We weren't as close back then, but being in classes together, we became close. But I just remember the classroom. It was small, was different. It. I got put there in about March, so it took me the whole rest of the year to really get the hang of it. Finally, in the sixth grade, when I started this new school year in sixth grade, I was able to get used to it the whole year, and that was a good year. I had a lot of fun memories and everything, and I just wanted to say real quick, I had a good childhood. I had an amazing childhood. I had family that loved me. I got to go to New Orleans as a kid, my sister and me. We were always spoiled. But there's a difference between good childhood and being bullied in school. Because being bullied in school, no matter how good your childhood is, your home life could be amazing and wonderful, but the school life could become completely different. And that's what happened with me. In seventh grade, I was bullied. How do I say this? That was junior high, seventh, eighth, ninth grade. Um, I started the school year, and I was around some friends, and the first part of it was okay. It was a lot different than what I was used to, going to all these different classrooms. Um, it was kind of higher learning than what I was used to. But there was one classroom that was not good, and that was PE. I was in there with my friends, yes. I had my friends from my classes with me, but there were ninth graders there too. We had about maybe 30 suit kit guys in there, and these were big guys. And I wasn't used to changing in front of people. I wasn't used to any of the stuff that was happening. When we did exercises, I was different than everybody else because of my motor skills. Even my friends exercised good, but me, I just couldn't do it right. And I think that's part of the reason why I got picked on. They saw me as the weakest link. I would have basketballs thrown at me on purpose. On free days, I would be with my friends playing basketball in one area, and all of a sudden these basketballs would come out, hit me in the face so hard, my face would be red, my glasses would be broken. Um, I had people make fun of me. I had one guy choke me because he wanted a piece of paper. I was sick that day, and I was up in the bleachers, and I was writing. I was writing a poem or something. It was kind of the start of my writing too. Um, I started kind of getting my niche about writing then, but I was writing a poem, and this guy walked up, and he looked like it. He looked like Elvis, an Elvis wannabe, and he grabbed me by the neck like this, pushed me against the wall real hard, and told me, give me a piece of paper. And I said no. And he told me, if you don't give me a piece of paper, I'm going to throw you off these bleachers. And the bleachers were high up. and I'm going to watch you fall. And I told him, no, I'm not going to do that. And he kind of squeezed my neck a little bit harder, and then he let go of me, and he walked away. I looked down. The PE teacher was staring at me and was laughing. He found it to be really funny. And that shocked me because I was not used to teachers doing that. Um, One day, a whole bunch of them decided to throw basketballs at me. I was sitting in the bleachers with my friends, and the next thing I know, I'm having basketballs thrown at me like dodgeball. And I'm running on the bleachers, and they're throwing all these basketballs at me. And I hide behind the teacher, and the teacher's like, "Don't you hide behind me." And I went through like 6, 7 months of that. Of just being bullied so bad that I got scared to go to school. One day I was at lunch and I went to go use the restroom, and this guy busted into the stall that I was in, and he grabbed me and threw me against the wall and told me if I ever went to the restroom again, I was going to be killed. I I went through a lot there. Um, Before that, I was a happy kid, very happy, but that scarred me really bad that school year. My mom would have to make me go to school. I would make up any excuses I could not to go. I was so scared. She took me one time to the counselor, and I was telling them I was sick, and I really was sick. I had like some kind of bug going around, some kind of cold or something, and I ended up having to stay home a few days. But we went to see the counselor, and I was so scared. My mom went to the principal, and the principal basically did nothing. The teacher said they wouldn't do nothing. They were basically saying just deal with it. I wasn't used to that. So my mom finally decided she had enough. An opportunity happened, and we were able to move. I had been living there in that town, Sand Springs, for most of my life. Moved there when I was 6 months old. My sister got married about 2 years before we moved, and was out. So it was just my mom and me. And I had just gotten Social Security about a year before, so that extra money was able to help us get out. Well, we decided, okay, it's time. So we moved. We moved back to Tulsa. That was Tulsa County, but we went on and moved back to Tulsa. There, I went to a great school called Union. I must say this much about Union. It was an amazing school. The teachers there were amazing. I started developing my script writing in 8th grade. I went to go see the movie Scream, and I remember it scared me so much. My grandpa and I went to go see it, and for like a month, I had this continuing dream, which became my first script. I began to write more. I would go to school, and I would carry notebooks with me, and I would sit in the class and write notebooks. It was a time where my creativity started coming out. I went from that scared to coming out of my shell again. Um, I still was scarred because when it came to the bathroom, I had to go to the nurse station. I was so scared to go into any kind of public bathroom there in the school, even at Union. My high school life was amazing. I had amazing friends. I became a leader. I became a voice. I felt like people looked up to me. I was well loved by everybody. I was kind of one of the leaders. I felt good those few years. I'm telling this because when you're being bullied, it's not easy. I I started developing PTSD because of it. And I didn't know that until I started seeing my counselor about 2 years ago. That I have PTSD because of all the stuff that had happened to me. I have high anxiety, and it might have been the start of my fibro, too. You know, in society, we treat the people that are different really crummy. I see that happen all the time. If somebody's different, they get treated like they're a nobody. I see that happen with people that are gay. I see that happen with people that are trans. I see that happen with Hispanic people. It's black people. It's sad and it's wrong. We are all the same in God's eyes, no matter what our color of our skin, no matter who we are. But this idea that you're different, you don't belong. And right now, I want to dare those that do believe that way. I want to dare them to think outside that box that they've been thinking, and think for a second that maybe, just maybe, it's okay to be different than them. I believe God makes us all unique. What I'm good at, you may not be good at. And what you're good at, I may not be good at. And that's okay. We're all unique and different for a reason. We all have our own qualities, and that's what makes us human. So it's okay to be different. It's okay to be yourself. It's okay to admit who you are. As I'm not ashamed to say I was in special ed. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not ashamed of my problems I've had. In fact, I'm proud of them because they help define who I am. They are my testimony. That's my testimony overcoming all this stuff. Each of us have a testimony. Each of us have a purpose. Each of us have a story that we had to overcome. I think if people look outside of what they're used to, I think people might see we're all more same than people realize. I always believe that in God's eyes, there is no different race, there is no different color. Turn off the light, we're all the same there. Our spirits aren't like our flesh. God doesn't see race and color. And it's time we realize that we're all equal in God's eyes. And it's time we stop the bullying. We need to come together now. We need to start loving one another and start helping each other. If you see someone being bullied, stand up for them. Help them. Don't be one of those people that just stands by and does nothing. I truly believe we each can make a difference. We each can change the world if we just step outside of what we're used to. You might be just giving somebody $1 if they need it, opening the door. You can help change somebody's life. And it's just very simple things and easy things are the things that actually change people's lives. Simple things, opening the door and smiling at a person can make a person go from depressed to just happy. But anyways, this is just what I wanted to talk about. I'm trying to figure out these blogs and really trying to figure out what I'm going to say on these videos. I just wanted to make this quick video and get this off my chest and just say this. But I will talk to you all later. You guys have a good day.